Welcome to our Asia Pacific 2024 Payments Megatrends webinar. My name is Lindsay Lear. I am the Managing Director of Payments and Commerce Market Intelligence. Let's go ahead and introduce our speakers today.
I'm from the Philippines. I'm an Asia Pacific person.
And Mahesh.
Yeah, by the name, you should have figured it out. I'm based in India.
Fantastic. And Ignacio.
I've been working in alternative finance for 15 years so far. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia.
This goes into a little bit more depth here, right? Looking again at e-commerce payment methods around APAC, comparing 2022 to 2026. And again, we see that digital wallet share increasing. Not only are they dominant, but they're increasing in share. While we see credit and debit cards losing share over time, this is a trend we've seen across the world and is probably most prominent in the APAC region.
If you look at 2022, 4 Asia-Pac markets were in the top 5 of global RTP markets. PromptPay, if you look at PromptPay, introduced in 2018, and in 2022 represented 35% of transactions. That's like 4 years to get 1/3 of the market share in Thailand. We haven't even put there UPI, which is like 50% of the market for globally for 2022. And if you look at 2027, the potential for RTP is so huge, right? Sometimes when you look at the UPI projections, it even boggles the mind, right? You're talking of 1 billion daily transactions by 2027.
The dominance of wallets has not stopped from tapping into the traditional funding sources, that is predominantly the bank accounts or the cards, and they wanted to give you the full embedded experience. So predominantly in the APAC market is either OTC cash or wallet transactions. And as you are aware of how UPI and Gcash is doing, they're expanding the pie. They're trying to add in credit card as their funding sources. It has already started, initiated 2 years back by RuPay in India, and that is also happening with Gcash. So this wallet market is a kind of crowded place in most of these countries, and they prefer to have zero reason for a consumer to not use their wallet. So they wanted to have the consumer stickiness and remain in the wallet. So they bring in more innovative solutions within the wallet space. So this is something interesting that is, see how it is going to pan out in the next 2-3 years.
We've seen that there's a lot of interest in cross-border travel as well, that enables citizens from each of these countries to go to one another's countries and utilize their own local payment scheme. So the first one is Singapore and Thailand, 2021, wherein the two real-time payment schemes were connected together. A live foreign exchange rate was being shown. And again, as we look on the left side, there's more and more linkages coming up, with the latest one being Malaysia and Singapore, which went live in November 2023.
What is Project Nexus? It is a multilateral cross-border network that was developed by the BIS Innovation Hubs in Singapore. It was inspired by the huge success of the linkage between Singapore's Pay Now and Thailand's PromptPay that Tonet was speaking before. It came to solve a concrete pain point. Just to give you an idea, there are more than 60 instant payment systems or RTPs around the world. Imagine trying to connect domestic systems bilaterally with other countries. It will not only be very expensive and complex, but also it will generate an exponential number of deals and links. So the Project Nexus tried to solve that pain. It is a standardized and multilateral network that was designed to accommodate the many different IEPS and RTPs between national systems. It started with phase 1 and phase 2, and it successfully linked Eurosystem, Malaysia, and Singapore. But right now, during this year, they are working in partnering with the South Asia cluster, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. The first one is, of course, the disruption of traditional players. In concrete, the Nexus will present challenges for banks, for MTOs, and even for the fintechs in the cross-border space, because it will lower the margins, or because the players some of them will become irrelevant. So the question here is, how will these players react and transform themselves if this start to work? And sorry, I didn't say it was in the slide, but the BIS is working with this market during this year, but it is supposed to be launched in 2025. Secondly, and the big question is, who earns on FX? We all know that the cross-border and remittances space is a business of fees and FX. So the question here is who takes the FX and which entities will be involved. In our opinion, this will for sure have a direct impact in threshold groups of banking institutions who rely part of their revenue, a relevant part of their revenue in FX. And finally, the whole digital ecosystem will be for sure transformed with cross-border commerce and cross-border e-commerce in particularly, as I said before. It will increase, that for sure. And the question here is, what will happen with the digital wallets and the cards that are being used today?
What does this all mean, right? What's the sense we can make out of this? And we want to leave you with a couple of big take-homes, okay? So we've repeated over and over the importance of wallets, the importance of RTPs or A2A payments are growing exponentially. So far, cards are holding steady mostly with some slow decline, especially in debit, okay? But as we look to the future trend, we're gonna see wallets and RTPs continue to grow, cards continue to decline, really kind of remaining the domain of the affluent and cross-border travel. Wallets and RTPs are low-cost payment methods or zero-cost payment methods. And so what's essentially happening is revenue is getting extracted out of the payments industry. And so the whole industry is facing this challenge of monetization. What's the next evolution of monetization? So we're going to be starting to see next generation of verticalized, industry-specific value-added services. This is inevitable. This has to occur. It's just like in domestic payments, business model innovation is going to be required in an increasingly interoperable, low-cost environment. And as SWIFT starts to see increasing number of competitors and challengers, those costs are going to keep going down. Players, banks, fintechs, wallets of all kinds are going to have to find new ways of making money. And increasingly, I said this in all of the regions, but in Asia, it's most prominent that payments are really trending towards becoming a customer acquisition cost. And the revenue is going to come from data analytics, from data expertise, and value-added services. Small business is still a hugely under-penetrated opportunity where we see payment digitization and other types of services, fraud services, reconciliation services, back-end services that SMEs need, and today are largely underserved. So that's a huge opportunity where we can expect a lot of increasing innovation. We can see, given that, we can see increased fraud and an increased investment in biometrics, in AI, in identity solutions, portable identity, possibly based on government-led digital identity projects. That's going to be a big investment and innovation area to come where we're going to need these solutions